All right, today we've got a really fascinating story from the world of personal finance. But look, this isn't just about stocks and returns. It's actually a journey into a much deeper philosophical question. Why do we want the things we want? And why does getting them sometimes feel strangely, well, incomplete?
So let's start with the central mystery we're going to try to unravel here. You do everything right. You follow the rules, you make a profit, you basically win the game. But for some reason, something just feels off, kind of like losing. What is going on there? We're going to explore this whole psychological puzzle through one investor's very, very relatable experience.
Okay, so our story kicks off with a really straightforward plan. We're not talking about any get-rich-quick schemes, no wild bets on some crazy new thing. This is about as normal as it gets. Our investor starts with a pretty solid foundation, 2.5 million Sri Lankan rupees. That's a significant chunk of change, and they decide, okay, let's put this money to work in the stock market. And the strategy they used? It was incredibly sensible. I mean, this person wasn't chasing meme stocks or trying to be some kind of trading genius. Nope, they just built a simple, diversified portfolio with 4 solid, well-known companies. It was a total textbook, no-frills approach. And for a while, that sensible strategy paid off beautifully. This is the fun part of the story, right? Everything's going according to plan, and the numbers on the screen start to look very, very good. And there it is, a glowing plus 10%. But you gotta notice that crucial word right underneath, unrealized. This isn't actual money in the bank, not yet. It's a perfect shimmering number on a screen. It's a promise. And man, does it feel fantastic, like you've totally cracked the code. You know, this feeling actually has a name. In psychoanalytic theory, it's called jouissance. It's that intoxicating high, that promise that total and complete satisfaction is just around the corner. That 10% gain isn't just a number. It's the feeling that you are right on the verge of becoming whole, of achieving a perfect, flawless victory. And what's fueling this fantasy? Well, it's something called the big other. In the stock market, that's the overall index, in this case, the all-share index. When the whole market is trending up, it acts like this master authority, validating every decision you made. It's like this powerful voice whispering in your ear, yes, you are a winner, this all makes perfect sense. But, of course, fantasies can't last forever. Sooner or later, they have to meet reality. And that's the turning point of our story, the decision to turn that beautiful paper profit into actual real-life cash. The decision is made. Time to cash out. Press the button, lock in that perfect 10%, and finally make the fantasy real. But the real world is messy. It has friction. You got bid-ask spreads, tiny little price movements between the moment you click sell and when the order actually goes through, and of course, commissions and fees. Now, none of these are a disaster. They're just normal. They're the little imperfections of reality that you can't see on that clean screen. And after all that friction, after the dust settles, this is what actually lands in the bank account. A 7% profit. I mean, it's still a gain. It's still a win. But it's not 10%. That perfect image has been just a little bit smudged. This comparison really nails the 2 different worlds our investor was living in. On one side, you have the imaginary world of the screen. It's seductive, it offers this image of wholeness, a perfect plus 10%. But on the other side, you have this symbolic world of the actual transaction, which delivers the real, messy, incomplete result, plus 7%.
So what happened to that missing 3%? Where did it go? This is where our story gets really, really cool. In Lacanian terms, that missing piece is called the objet petit a. It's basically the unobtainable object of your desire. The wild part is, it was never truly there to begin with. But the promise of it, that was the lure. That was the fuel that made the whole chase so exciting. It's the gap that keeps desire running.
So our investors still walked away with a 7% return, which, feels like a success. But this story has one last twist, a punchline that kind of calls the entire adventure into question. I mean, that's what we're all thinking, isn't it? A 7% gain in just a few months. That's fantastic. It's gotta beat leaving your money in some boring old savings account, right? Or does it? And here it is, the punchline. When you actually compare the annualized return, a simple, boring, zero-anxiety fixed deposit would have actually offered a better guaranteed return.
All that excitement, all that adrenaline, all that chasing the 10% fantasy ultimately led to a result that was less profitable than the most basic, unexciting investment you could possibly imagine. So, after all that, what's the ultimate takeaway from this story? Well, it reveals a really powerful idea about what the stock market is actually selling us. This is the core insight right here. The product isn't really the profit. The product is the chase. The market gives us this perfect stage to play out our fantasies of winning, of finally achieving wholeness. What it's really selling us is that intoxicating feeling of jouissance, the endless, thrilling pursuit of that missing piece. The author of the source material we're looking at, Dawson Preethi, just puts it perfectly here. The market isn't cheating you out of your 10%. It's actually doing its job perfectly by showing you that the promise of complete satisfaction, that fantasy of wholeness, was always an illusion. It was always built around a fundamental lack, around that missing 3%. And that leaves us with one final thought to ponder. And this really isn't just about the stock market. It applies to so many of our goals. Is the thrill of the chase, that intoxicating promise we see on the screen of our lives, is that sometimes more valuable to us than the messy, incomplete reality we actually end up with? It's a fascinating question about what truly drives us.